This is the post-fight video for Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda. So, where do we begin? William Zepeda, a big underdog before the fight started. I told you before the fight that I thought there was a lot of value to be had on William Zepeda. I had a bet on that. I had a small bet on the draw as well. Zepeda did the best that he could. He went in there, he gave it his all. He really did. He gave it his all. He threw as many punches as he could, and he tried and he tried and he tried, but it just really wasn't good enough. Of course, there was always the possibility that would happen. Stephen Bradman Edwards told me, he said he believes Shakur Stevenson will win the fight. I told him he might be wrong, but he might be right, but I still thought that there was value on picking William Zepeda because of the odds. Remember, when they're giving us a plus 750 or plus 800, that means that, Zepeda only has to win a little bit more than 1 out of every 9 times they fight for this to be a profitable play in the long run. And that's the only thing we're interested in. I'm not, picking sides for a favorite fighter or any other thing like that. I'm only interested in making money when I place bets on boxing. And I think that it's even with the result in hand. Remember, this only has to be profitable long run, and we're doing this long run. So I still think he wins more than 1 out of every 9 times he's in a circumstance like this. He did well. First of all, the scorecards were I thought they were horrible. I didn't see Shakur Stevenson winning, 10 rounds or something like 10, 11 rounds. I didn't see that at all. I think for some portions of the fight, this fight was very close. This was a close fight. Zepeda was landing a lot of punches. I think after 9 rounds, they had landed pretty much the same exact number of shots. And I know that's not a scoring criteria in itself, just reading the CompuBox. But it gives a small indication because Zepeda was all over Stevenson from the beginning till the end. Here's the problem for Zepeda. This is what, and I think it was a fair score that Shakur Stevenson deserved to win that fight. No doubt about it. I thought so, but I thought it was much closer than the judges had it. The thing that made it difficult for Zepeda to win many of those rounds were that Stevenson was catching him with big shots, and they were so clean, like they just hit right on the target, and it wasn't one. You would have instances where Zepeda was doing right, he was doing very good. He would push Shakur Stevenson to the ropes, and he was letting off 7, 8, 9 punches. The problem is they weren't landing so much. They were maybe 1 or 2 of them landing, and then Stevenson would come back with maybe 3 shots, and they would all of them land clean, like a jab, right hand, left hook, or left his front left hook, and then backhand, and then another one, like a 3-piece combination, even 4-piece combination some of the time, and they would land very, very cleanly. That's a big problem, of course, and that's what swayed the judges. I still think they had it way too wide. William Zepeda was doing some good stuff. That punch in the 3rd or 4th round, which was basically a jab, I'm not sure how hurt Stevenson was. He probably wasn't that hurt. It was more of he was out of balance thing. But Zepeda landed a very crisp, like really straight jab, where Stevenson, fell completely out of balance. I'm not sure, and I'm not saying I know this for sure, but if the ropes weren't there, we can't say for sure that Stevenson wouldn't have fallen down and it would have been scored a knockdown. This is not what happened now, of course. He bounced off the ropes, but it looked like the ropes a little bit held him up, a little bit. We can't say for sure what would have happened, but that was a very, very clean blow. I thought it was very nice. Zepeda was doing well in the beginning. But here's another thing that was a problem for Zepeda. I knew after 7 or 8 rounds, when Zepeda couldn't move forward anymore, that was a big problem, because when he couldn't go forward to pushing Stevenson back to the ropes, I knew that he wouldn't be having his way anymore. And I think, I can't know for sure, But my opinion is that besides that Stevenson is as good as he seems to be physically very strong, because no one else had been able to stand in the middle of the ring when they have Zepeda against them. And at some point in the fight, he still tried. He tried until the end. He was still successful at some of the times, of course, pushing Shakur Stevenson down, pushing him back to the ropes. But, you know, a lot of times he just couldn't. The fight was taking place at the center of the ring towards the, you know, second half of the fight, and that would favor, of course, Shakur Stevenson. So that is what we saw on that fight. I still think that Zepeda can hold his head very high, very high. I mean, what a fighter he is! What a fighter he is! He gives his all. He gives his everything. He is everything that you would love to have in a fighter. I personally think he still beats almost everyone else. I think I really like his style. He is difficult to win rounds against. It's just that Shakur Stevenson is a very, very special talent. He won't be up against too many that can resemble Stevenson in the ring. He didn't take, you know, that much punishment. He took some clean shots, but, you know, he took it well. Everything was well. The defense, Zepeda's defense, I think it's gotten better. It's just that, you know, he was up against Shakur Stevenson, and Shakur Stevenson, on his health, he did very good. He wasn't running around the ring. I think he did it a little bit towards the last 2 rounds of the fight, where he didn't want to engage anymore, and that made the rounds look even easier to score in his favor, because then it was really obvious who the better boxer was, who was controlling the rounds. But I think he can be very proud. Shakur Stevenson can be very proud. He's a tough guy. Like he says, he is what he says he is. He stood his ground, and he just showed that he's the better fighter, and that was that. Like I said, I still think there was value on William Zepeda. He should not be priced that high against anybody. And he showed that he belonged. It was a good fight. Shakur Stevenson got the win, and that was that. The atmosphere at the Louis Armstrong Stadium, I was there at the fight. I thought that was a cool place to have a boxing event in, because it wasn't, and no seats were really that far from the ring. I thought that was good. You know, some of the seats were high up, but you could still see the ring pretty good from almost any place in the arena. Which, in comparison to like when I was at the T-Mobile Stadium one time, I remember when Triple G fought Canelo. Our seats were at the nosebleed section, the very worst seats in the arena, and they were still really expensive that night. So expensive to see Triple G versus Canelo, the first fight at T-Mobile Arena, and we were sitting so high up. I promise you couldn't even tell who the fighters were. You can just see that there was 2 guys throwing punches and a referee in the middle. And, you know, it's not fun when you can't see that good, and you really have to look at the monitors. You have to watch the screen to see what's taking place. Then it's like, you know, but that was that. This wasn't the case here. Everyone, you know, could see the arena well at Louis Armstrong Stadium. Even the other night at the Madison Square Garden, I find the seating there pretty good. You know, a lot of seats with, you know, good views, except when you're really at the highest levels up there. But all in all, a good weekend. Nice, interesting fights. Thank you for watching this video. What did you think about William Zepeda's effort? Did you think he was good? Did you think it was a clear Shakur Stevenson fight? Tell us about it. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. We have some more great picks coming up. That was an interesting week. We'll be back next week. Thank you for watching. My name is Hisham. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.